Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to LEGO MARVEL Avengers. Let's continue the story. Still going through the Age of Ultron story. I think there's probably 2 more levels. They're attempting to put Jarvis into the synthetic body, and I guess this is more of foreshadowing as a concept to try and break up Captain America and Iron Man and the Avengers in general.
Sorry, that was odd.
You can kind of almost make the argument, if there was a legitimate hit of Mjolnir to Vision before he was.
And saw annihilation.
Look again.
So
There may be no way to make you trust me, but we need to go.
yeah, it could be the case that Mjolnir does have some kind of AI in it, and that Thor doesn't understand that. And so the AI of Mjolnir also was implanted with Jarvis into Vision. It does kind of seem like Thor is kind of an idiot as far as his own people's technology. Assuming it is actually his own people's technology, I wouldn't be surprised if the Asgardians really stole all their technology and boiled it down into myth because they couldn't explain it themselves. So we're playing as Quicksilver, running around, breaking things. I like the little Lego things on the wall, posters on the wall. That's nice. We're back in the apartment, which, yeah, we've already been here once, and it really, once again, shows just a generic repeated thing. This sofa set, for instance, has been used in 3 separate levels, and this entire layout and area has been used twice, and there's no collectibles or anything here. At least I imagine there aren't any collectibles for me to find, because we're not actually in a level, so I should just be running out the door. Wanda falls in love with the Vision. There was another section of loading there, and we have a transition outside of Avengers Tower into the overworld of Manhattan, and we are now at the top. But the problem here with that, where I just fell, is that is the skydiving that was in LEGO Marvel Superheroes, and that would have just had me fall all the way down to the open world and break out of the sequence they want me to be in.
As you'd expect from someone as understated as Tony Stark, the Avengers Quinjet is quite a bit more advanced than the ones we had back in S.H.I.E.L.D. It's slightly larger to accommodate the entire team, but is still just as fast and maneuverable as the previous model with, hey, this is starting to sound like a commercial. All you need to know is it will get you to Sokovia. Watch out, Ultron.
Yep, we are making it to Sokovia. I feel like the Quinjets were technology that some superhero built, and they're kind of forgetting it.
Find out what Ultron's been building. We find Romanoff, and we clear the field.
There, they had a very zoomed out image for a second there that showed a micro scale Lego city, which I wouldn't be surprised if there is a bonus level where there's a micro scale Sokovia, although they really haven't done that in quite a while. You do have a problem with the story where the artificial intelligence is the bad guy, in the sense that they had to create a character like Vision to fight against that also would be able to control AI.
We gotta move.
I adore you.
That's very possibly the first
But I need
human
to get away.
on human kiss in the LEGO game.
Let's finish the job.
I never get a break.
Stanley pops up too much, but he at least gets to do vocal comedic effects.
Clear the way. Rendezvous with the others once you're up there.
Oops. Don't go that way. Or I might actually be in a bit of trouble if I'm not careful. If I got into a death loop there. I don't know why Sokovia needed to fly. I assume it may have been Ultron's plan to crash Sokovia into another highly populated area. Although, if you were going to do that, man, I'm having a hard time getting up this wall, and they have scripted it so that a boulder falls and hits you. So let's just press A and jump through all of this and get past it that way. Throw a boulder to break that. It kind of doesn't make sense to build a floating city if you're going to crash it into another floating city. Oh man. Once again, this feels kind of lacking in polish. Let's switch to her. So at the very least she can potentially not slide off the edge of a level. In all fairness, a lot of my criticisms of this game are really criticisms of the movies, or at least my understanding of the movies, having barely watched just sections of Age of Ultron and Avengers, and having watched all of those quite a while ago. At a certain point, that does fall prey to the idea that the game itself should be giving a better description of what's going on. That if we were playing a LEGO Star Wars or LEGO Indiana Jones or LEGO Harry Potter game, we would know what's going on. Even the Star Wars version that didn't even have talking, voice acting. Yeah, it's really hard to not feel like the introduction of the real lines from the movie was the beginning of actually just cutting the budget for LEGO games. Because you didn't have to say, we'll use the lines from the movie, but we won't record any new lines. You could have done both. Recorded the necessary new lines, of which there doesn't need to be a lot, but there does need to be some. And here we have another awkward transition.
If it drops,
Global extinction.
Yeah. How is dropping a city going to cause global extinction?
you okay?
Like,
Hey, look at me. It's your
you
fault.
you would have
Who cares?
you'd have to have
Going back out there 'cause it's my job.
have it kick up a massive amount of dust,
Door. You are an Avenger.
or Sokovia would have to be much bigger than it seems to look like it is. This is a awkward movie because it kind of is the introduction to Wanda, and then Wanda is kind of forgotten. Now there is a new movie that they just put a trailer out for. I haven't even seen it, called WandaVision, that seems like it's going to be kind of a Doctor Strange style Marvel movie. I actually didn't even realize that it was a movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I thought it was some TV show or a stand-up comedy hour by Wanda Sykes, the comedian. Which I wouldn't be surprised if she does have a comedy hour set called WandaVision. But Wanda as a character also has this problem in that she is kind of given quite a rough life in her time as being in the Marvel movies, because you have her and her brother being used and abused by Hydra. You have her brother dying, spoiler. I believe that happens at the end of Age of Ultron. You have her falling in love with Vision and then Vision dying, spoiler. But so like everybody in her life seems to die. There's some Hydra graffiti on the ground, and then apparently you're supposed to do that 5 times. What else am I supposed to do? And we've got a couple of things we can do. Yeah, to break things. Sokovia is being depicted by the signs as a distinctly Eastern Bloc type former Soviet Union country by the lettering. And was that Cyrillic? Is that what that lettering is described as? I feel like either in the Spider-Man game or the LEGO Marvel Superheroes game. I think there was no actual Spider-Man game. I think it was LEGO Marvel Superheroes, where I just played as Spider-Man so much that it came off as a Spider-Man game. You had a jackhammer mini game like that we probably will do a lot of that in the open world puzzles. Is he not an agile character, or did I just fall to my death accidentally? This is a great example of one of those levels where they are adding quite a bit here to the action scene that would have been in the movie, whereas normally if this was just a movie, we would just be seeing 10-20 minutes straight of them fighting Ultron and Ultron's clones. And I guess this is inherently the reason why we never saw large collections of automated robots protecting the world like Tony Stark wanted to have. Although he didn't really stop having Iron Man suits that could be run by AI, he just stopped having more generic things, robots. He limited himself down to about a dozen robots instead of potentially hundreds of them. It would be an interesting thought how embracing of a robot police force society would be. I suppose it would really boil down to how much enforcement the robots did. If they're stopping you for jaywalking and like speeding, people wouldn't appreciate that, but if they're flying in every time there's a gun wielding maniac and just violent crimes, people might be fairly happy with that. That was a uniquely different way to get up a level, and then Wanda herself didn't do anything. She just jumped. We've got a clothes washer bouncing around and a refrigerator and an oven. These little things, these little set descriptions are exactly what you needed to see a lot more repetition of, and you just don't see any repetition of. Like, they have this tendency to think everything in a LEGO game should be unique when that's just not the smart way to do it. And just judging by the number of studs we've gotten, I imagine we're going to have a fairly short experience here. We may very well run into the ensemble problem once again, where there's just too many people at the same time. It probably wouldn't have hurt in the cinematic universe had they made all of the superheroes a lot more vulnerable. If somebody almost always ends up in the infirmary or injured after a major, like, sub-boss battle, I would have been that might have been a better thing to do. So you could give somebody like Hawkeye their due, give them their big battle fight scene, and then just have them get stabbed in the last second, and then end up in the infirmary until the big final fight. And at the big final fight, everybody comes back into the fight. I guess that's kind of what happened in Endgame, and at that point there were so many characters in the Marvel Avengers Endgame. Was it called Avengers Endgame? I think it probably was. This is a great example of where I can just take my thumb completely off the left stick and just tap the X button. Like, I'm just tapping the X button, and it goes to show just how much random animations happen there. I pressed the A button after I hit that hint, but like there's a combo fighting system that targets on the enemies, jumps you towards the enemies. It is super friendly for little kids that just smash buttons, and that's great. That's what a LEGO game should be. Nobody I think should ever make a legitimate argument that a LEGO game should be super difficult. And if you were going to make a super difficult for adults LEGO game, you probably need to make a completely different type of game, and not a TT Traveler's Tales type game. I guess it is at a point now, since Telltale Games is no longer relevant. They went out of business and a different company bought the name, so that it's not particularly relevant at the moment, since they haven't released anything new. There will probably be less confusion between Traveler's Tales, which shortens their names to TT Games, and Telltale Games, which never shorten their name to TT Games. We're back on a cutscene, and it didn't. I don't know why I got so many studs early. Maybe they just wanted to make really certain that you got True Avenger on one level. Let's see if we need to smash all of these. We probably do. And then that's a Thor charging port. Now we've already done levels where it's getting from point A to point B on a road, so this feels fairly repetitive. We may be done here at the end of this. This may just be the last level. I can't freestand Lee. Then you fly into another cutscene. What they're failing to do is, from what I'm figuring, is they need to take control away from me and just have the characters automatically walk to a specific area and then cause a cutscene to play after they've taken control away in game. That way you don't have such an abrupt transition from the in-game gameplay to an out-of-game cutscene. Then you kind of have like a Baroque logo on this building in the background. The Sokovian building. And let's hit this. Because it is very, very jarring. That's a kind of interesting transition there, because it's an unrealistic transition in which there was nowhere near that many cement Lego type bricks poured. And then you have a Lego liquid here with studs, which is not something I've ever seen done before, and it seems incorrect too. It seems like if you are going to do liquid in a Lego game, it probably should just be liquid. I had to hit A that time because I was jumping upward, but alright. Smash that. And through here. This is a slightly different transition because we're going inside of a truck. And then we need Captain America over here. We're getting different music. I can't say I hate that. And we still have random Lego people wandering around. An awkward transition there. They could also just fade out and fade in instead of doing jump cuts.
Where else am I gonna get a view like this?
That might also work. Just a extremely brief 1/10 of a second jump, fade out and fade in. So here you have the helicarrier, but I think there's really only one helicarrier that S.H.I.E.L.D. had. So I don't think it has enough power to hold up all of Sokovia. And once again, I think we're just in a weird position here, where this is ridiculously going to be a short level. But I don't know how I really should do this. I probably should go back to the old way I would do things and just set an hour marker limit. Once we start doing the free play content, it will be at least an hour of gameplay per episode, because there will be no abrupt ending there. But I have to assume if the game is willing to give me less than 25 minutes of gameplay for this story section, the next story section probably is going to be closer to 30 or 40 minutes, and then I also suspect we will get credits a second time, as annoying as that will be for Age of Ultron. And I don't think we're getting a third Avengers movie, because if we get a third Avengers movie, then it's Civil War. And if it's Civil War, I guess that's fine. But at a certain point, then you almost would hope that this game somehow magically also had Endgame in it, and the movie before Endgame Part 1 and Part 2. Because that's the real wrap up for this generation of Avengers. Well, I guess that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my video, because that helps me with YouTube and tells them that my videos are worth promoting and watching. If you want to further follow me on any social media sites to get backup notifications, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.